Hey everybody! Welcome to another episode of Trenny and C. I'm Trenny. This is C. In front of us today, we have the Michters lineup.
Perfectly pronounced, by the way.
That's how you say it.
Yep.
We have gone through a few of these now. Actually, all of them except one. Mm-hmm. Why don't you give the lowdown?
Sure. This is the USA 1 lineup here. We've had the bourbon, we've had the sour mash, we've had the straight rye single barrel, and our final singular review is for the Michter's Small Batch Unblended American Whiskey. So presumably we're talking about a mash-billed American whiskey that's going to be less than 51% corn. So there's going to be a little bit more of a barley and rye content. I don't know the mash bill of it, but when we go live later in the
assuming
month,
if it's unblended, that means it is a mash bill, like most.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay, here we go. Great corks on these Michters.
Yeah, so good. So good.
Great whiskey so far, too.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if it continues. Let's see if the great whiskey continues. Now,
before we continue,
Nice.
you continue to press like and subscribe and go to patreon.com/trennyandc to become signed up for all the fantastic giveaways.
Well, yeah, I mean, you might have missed the Michters samples this month, but if you go to patreon.com/trennyandc, you could get in line for next month's samples if you join our Dram Club or Masterclass. Now, what we have here is something that when we did the blind tasting of Michters previously, this was actually your favorite, and I don't remember really which one of these was my favorite, but we're going to remodernize that video, and we're going to do an up-to-date what's the best Michters.
Well, and I think that's an important thing to do every couple of years because your taste buds change, your experience changes, your mood in the moment
Sometimes
changes.
the whiskey changes.
The whiskey changes, for sure. Okay, so let's try this.
Okay, let's get a big nose going here. I've always got a big nose.
I mean, to me, there's compared to the other ones, there's a bit bigger of the vanilla style on there.
Yeah, it's a little bit, to me, there's a little bit more of this kind of zesty new oak. I mean, it does say it's on the back. One of the few things it tells you is that it's American grains and matured to the peak of perfection in bourbon-soaked white oak barrels, but it does have an oaky barrel zing to it.
For sure. The wood nose is there for sure.
But it has a nice sweetness and some cinnamon brown sugar notes.
Part of me feels like the sweetness is slight. I could be wrong right in this moment, but slightly dialed up from some, because some of them are a little bit musty, anyway.
This one also has that...
but a similar signature to the whole lineup.
I don't know if it's not necessarily walnut, but there is a nuttiness on it. I'm not too up on my
your variables of nuts. Yeah.
Is it a Brazil nut? I'm not sure.
It's like cashew, but on the fruit still.
Yes. Okay, let's get to tasting it. We should... Yeah.
I'm getting some actual fruity kind of apricot style notes to it too. Sorry, what?
I'm just saying overall it is a very pleasant nose.
For sure.
Enjoyable.
It's very inviting, for sure.
And I'm sure you could probably spend some time on it and really get to know it.
What was the percentage on there?
This one is for Michters on the bit of the lower side, 41.7. So
okay.
Let's round that up.
And honestly, so far they've all been where they kind of should be. So let's try it. Let's taste it.
Yeah, respect.
Okay. That's nice.
It is nice, but it is a little bit more on the again, what I call the zesty kind of effervescent
there's a
little
spice
bit
to it.
Yeah, a little bit of that tangy spice to it.
Which, so for the lowest percentage out of the lineup, it feels a little hotter.
Well, it almost drinks bigger.
Yeah.
Drinks a little bit bigger than 41.7, maybe 41.8.
Right. But again, maybe this is perfect because if it was boosted up to 45, it might be little bit too
might have too much kick at that point
or whatever.
But it does have that underlying sweetness. It has a nice sweetness. You talked about maybe it was dialed up a bit, but I think it's pretty on par. Like it's got a good spot there for the sweetness.
I'm looking forward to doing the side by side now because we've tried a couple other ones in between this one, so now I don't have the the comparison right at my fingertips. But
to me, this one has probably the biggest oak presence. Like when on the back of my palate, I find like the oak is showing up, and I think that dials up a little bit of that little bit of that a little bit of the oaky dryness.
Yes,
a little bit
it is
of the tart
a dry
tangy
one. It is got a bit of that cat tongue thing going on.
It has a little bit of it still has the brown sugar, and it has a little bit of the cinnamon kind of notes to it too. But overall, it's a really nice whiskey.
I mean, you're not going to go wrong with whatever you pick out of this lineup. And they all look great. Look at these bottles.
Yeah, so I think the next thing for us to do is to kick back and blind taste these things and find out what we really like. Not what we think we like.
What we really
like blind. So stay tuned for that. Click like, subscribe. Thank you to James Bourne for sponsoring us, and to Michters.
So pumped about this month.
Yeah, we will see you again soon. Cheers.
Cheers.